So we have slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. B is the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is just where it crosses the y-axis. This is called the x-axis. This is called the y-axis. Anyone remember what you call the middle point? The origin, good. And then the whole thing is called a coordinate plane. ACT loves coordinate planes. I'm not sure why, but they put a lot of coordinate planes. And the way you graph is, first you put it in slope-intercept form. My examples are already going to be in that form. You first find the starting point on the y-intercept, and then you count the slope. Okay. Just remember that if you have a line going like this, that is positive slope, right? That's positive. And I usually show this video. This guy says he's trying to get up the hill on his bike, and he says, puff, puff, positive. You guys ever seen that? Puff, puff, positive. And then he's on his bike, and if that's the line, and he's riding his bike, he says, this is zero fun. You never heard that one? I'll summarize it. It's kind of corny. And then he's riding his bike, and he says, nice, negative. It's negative because he's going down the hill. Everyone loves going down the hill on a bike, right? It's fun. Puff, puff, positive, not so much. And then straight up and down. And again, I'm kind of mimicking a YouTube doll a few years ago. He reaches the end of the cliff, and he just falls down. And he says, the worst curse word in math. Undefined. Right? I'll have to show you that video. So, puff, puff, positive. Zero, fun. Nice, negative. Undefined. So what I want to graph is 2x plus 3. Which would be positive. Puff, puff, positive. And I know it's positive because the 2 is positive. The coefficient of x is positive, so it's going to go up. Up, puff, puff, positive. Where's it going to start? On the 3, right? So I'm going to go over here. This is 0. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. Boom. Y-intercept 3, that's all I do. I just go up 3. Common mistake is people start on the x. You don't do that. It's called a y-intercept. This is the y-axis. This is not the x-intercept. And then, for some kids, 2 is confusing, but remember 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1. So the slope, wish we had more room here. The slope is rise over run, 2 over 1, right? Rise over run. I'll make this arrow a little easier to see. All that means is you go to your y-intercept, you go up 2 over 1. Now when I'm filling out graphs, and I can't go up 2 over 1 anymore, what I do is I do the complete opposite. So instead of going up, I go down, and instead of going to the right, I go to the left. And that way I can fill in this. It makes a straight, smooth edge. So go down 2 over 1. Or, if you don't want to do it that way, if you just want to get 2 points, that's enough to make a line. You guys all have your ID badges. They work with various rulers. I don't know if, at least we found one use for them. The hair off, but it'll be okay. Your ID makes great rulers. Now they're good for lunches and making lines. What else are they good for? Getting you into school, making people know if you had a bad hair day that day, what it looked like. Questions on that? And make sure you put those arrows on there. I know it's hard to see. but that just means the line goes forever. And I am off by a hair when I drew that. It should be just slightly above, but you get the point. Now, a new one. Let's show an example of a negative slope. It's already in slope-intercept form. Slope is negative 2/3, y-intercept is negative 1. So I go to negative 1, right there, y-intercept on the y-axis. Now remember, y-intercepts aren't always whole numbers. You might get 3/2, which is 1.5, and then that would mean you go up 1.5. But all the examples I'm going to show you purposefully is a whole number. So you start at negative 1, and then this has a negative slope, so it's going to look something like that. The nice negative, and you're riding down the bike, down the hill. And all that means is it's rise over run. It's going to be fall over run. So if it's negative, you fall first. If it's positive, you rise first. But you always run. Does that make sense? So notice this is still run, and that's run. It's just positive slope, you go up, negative slope, you go down. So I'm going to go down 2 over 3. And then I could go down 2 over 3. And then if I wanted to fill in the, instead of going down 2, up 2, and instead of going on the right 3, I'd go left 3, so it'd be up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. But let's use this fancy ID instead. And if you ever do any kind of woodworking or anything, or building something, we get really good at making lines. Like drawing lines along a board. Because if you don't, you're going to waste money. You're going to have to take it back to the table and redo it again. Do we understand that one? And then, I'll use 2 different colors. Let's do x equals 4. I'll do that in green. All that means, an x equals is always up and down. That's the undefined, as you're falling down the hill. And all you do, x is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that literally means no matter what the y, x is always 4. So that makes a vertical line. And I should have used my ID to make a straight edge. I'm going to wing it on this one. That is x equals 4. Slope is undefined. There is no y-intercept on this one. This never touches the y-axis. It goes up and down forever. It's parallel with the y-axis. This sucks. Agree? And then in a different color, just so we have our notes, let's do y equals, I don't want to put it there, get confused. Y equals negative 2. Well, y equals negative 2 means a horizontal line. This is 0 fun, right? You go down to negative 2, and you make a line this way. Slope is 0, because it's 0 fun. Y-intercept is negative 3. I'm sorry, negative 2. And then, because you guys probably aren't using colors, maybe draw an arrow. And then later on in math class, you talked about intersections and what does that mean and finding the solution. So the solution for this, where they cross, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2. So you would say this 4 comma negative 2. Remember that? Or you could call that the intersection. You talked about parallel and perpendicular lines. You talked about point slope form. You learned how to find the slope from 2 points. There's a lot of things you guys learn about lines already. And we're just going to go over the stuff you really need to know. So that is slope-intercept form. We have our positive slope. We have our negative, nice negative slope. We have our 0 slope. Those are always by equals. And we have our undefined slope. Those are always x equals. Those are the possibilities. Okay? Now, if there is not a number out here, such as -1, a negative 2/3 x, then just put a +0. That means you're going to start at the origin. The y-intercept is 0. So if they have no number out here, just start at 0. That's your y-intercept. We're just going to talk about slope-intercept form today. There's really nothing more to show you. If this was an Algebra 1 class, we would go over tons of examples, but we're not. I do want you to complete this IXL. To a 90. So if a line is already in slope-intercept form, can you graph it? And on the IXL, you first pick your starting point, and then you pick the next point and it draws a line for you. It makes it so that you can do a bunch of practice without spending like 20 pages of graph paper. It's really, really nice. And then, homework. (920) do 921. Notice this is a short unit. We'll be taking a test before you know it. And then to rate ourselves, by the way, homework is just this page, front and back. Now it's nice enough to give you graph paper. The graphs didn't turn off as strong as I would hope, but they're still there. So just this page, front and back. And then we'll rate ourselves on how we feel about this. Now, it would be my hope that if you're an MTA, that you're all already fours, and that's because you learn it in Algebra 1, you learn it in Algebra 2, you learn it in Algebra 3. Why are we learning it here? I don't know. But, can you graph, I'm going to simplify our standard, can you graph an equation in slope-intercept form? Even though it was a review, this is great for the ACT. It's good to know this for the ACT. ACT likes this stuff. Coordinate plane, coordinate geometry. You'll see a lot of those kinds of questions. How do you feel about that? All right, that's all I have. You guys have the rest of class to work. Thank you for your time.